First we have Skylar and Luke. They're going to light the chalice for us.
We light this chalice in remembrance of Grammy and to honor our love for her and her love for all of us. We light this chalice to remind us that when our pain and sorrow start to heal, we will be left with the brightness of beautiful and joyful memories of our beloved Grammy.
Thank you. Grammy had talented grandchildren, and so now we got the talented Spencer Winnell, her youngest grandson, to serenade her. His first song that he's going to play is something that he played for her in, I think, October, and she sang along in her little whisper hoarse voice that she had, and that's I Get a Kick Out of You by Cole Porter. And then he's going to play Over the Rainbow by Harold Arlen and E.Y. Harburg.
Beautiful sense. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, son.
Thank you, Spencer. Colby, you ready? Colby's gonna give a little memorial.
A few weeks ago, as I was lying on my grandmother's bed with her, holding her hand, she told me a story. She said that when she was little, maybe 3 years old, she went to her father in tears. She was terrified of dying. But her father was able to console her. He brought her over to a mirror and told her to look at her eyelashes. He said, "Do you see those perfect little eyelashes? Do you think God would have taken the care to make each of those tiny, precious eyelashes just to let you go so soon?" I don't know what inspired her to say this to me. I suppose that she knew what was to come, but I can't help but wonder if, or fear that, she was trying to tell me that she was scared. Or maybe I hope she was trying to tell me that she had conquered that fear, that that memory and that feeling already seemed distant and intangible. What I do know is how my grandmother, my darling Grammy, lived. And from that, I can guess how her father's words in her childhood informed her perspective and her actions. Because just like her father, to her toddler eyelashes, my grandmother could find in anything something small and undeniably precious. She had a rare ability to find the value, the good, or at least some good, in whatever she encountered. She could see the beauty in a frankly worthless tchotchke, and with some hodgepodge and acrylic paint or Sharpie markers, she could transform it into something that looked priceless. She could find humor in any joke, no matter how silly or stupid, and just through her own enjoyment of the joke, she could send everyone around her into a frenzy of laughter. She could see the value in everyone she met, no matter their differences, and find a way to connect with them. So that everywhere I went with her, throughout her life, people already knew her, remembered her, were excited to see her, or else were instantly charmed by her. I actually once went with her and my papa, Marty, to a diner in my town, over an hour from where they live, for the first time ever, and as soon as she walked through the door, the nearest waitress burst out with, "Oh, look who it is." I don't think many others could claim to have garnered the affections of so many people. And I'm not sure I'll ever again be blessed enough to meet someone as social and open to connection, as creative and caring, as effortlessly cool without ever being cold, someone as committed to authentic self-expression and excited to see others claim their own uniqueness. Now, I want to end by telling a story about my grandmother from when I was little. When we, Skylar, Spencer, and I were little, Grammy would pull us out of the bathtub, wrap us in a towel, and bounce us on her knee, pulling us towards her as she chanted, "Keep this baby so warm, keep this baby so warm." And we would giggle and giggle, feeling so safe, so cared for, so loved, so precious. Like I said earlier, I don't know exactly what my grandmother felt or thought in her final weeks, but I hope with all my heart, and I pray, that she felt and feels just as loved, as cared for, and as precious as she made us feel, and as she truly was. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You really, you covered Randy. Sorry.
Kelly, you ready?
I'm gonna try to get through it. I don't know if I can do it.
Kelly has a poem.
I have a poem and I wanted to read it. Okay, I'll try. Your mother is always with you, She's the whisper of the leaves as you walk down the street. She's the smell of certain foods you remember, flowers you pick, the fragrance of life itself. She's the cool hand on your brow when you're not feeling well. She's your breath in the air on a cold winter's day. She is the sound of the rain that lulls you to sleep. The colors of the rainbow. She is Christmas morning. Your mother lives inside your laughter. She's the place you came from, your first home. And she is the map you follow with every step you take. She's your first love, your first friend, even your first enemy. But nothing on earth can separate you, not time, not space, not even death.
I just want to thank you all again for being here, for coming a long way. My cousin Scott came from California, and we need you. We need to gather, because in gathering, your prayers, your grief, your tears, your loving of my mother helps touch us and helps us find our own pain and helps us wring it out just a little bit more, and it's so helpful. And we hope that it helps you as well, because I know so many people will miss her. Your presence really is an amazing gift to us all, and thank you for it. I know we all have mothers, and we're all going to lose them one way or another, or already have. And I don't know if everyone's mother is as monumentally important to them, as incredibly influential as I feel like my mother has been in my life. But I certainly hope that you're all as incredibly lucky as I am to have had the love of an extraordinary person. I know you all know so many things about her. She really had a wonderful life until about 17 months ago. She had a wonderful life. She was always in good health, she was in good shape, she had lots of energy. She loved to dress up and go dancing with her buddy, my fabulous stepfather, Marty. They lived many years on the bay, and they enjoyed boat rides and entertaining friends and family. They had a great social life, and they traveled all over the world. They were very involved with all their grandkids' lives, attending concerts, performances, matches, competitions, you name it. The kids were very lucky to have them around as often as they did. You know, my mom was warm, she was loving, she was involved, and she taught us all something about the importance of being there, about showing up and how precious and sacred those opportunities are, how being there turns an event or a performance into a sacred opportunity to affirm the caring. To affirm the caring and the connection and the importance of the person without even saying a word. But there were words too, and my mother was very effusive and expressive of her love. She always said it. And about 17 months ago, you know, before that she would say, I'm having a bad stomach day, my stomach's bothering me, and I heard this my whole life, because this is something she had her whole life. We just thought it was, I don't know, her funny little stomach thing, whatever. But about 17 months ago, it got much, much worse. And I don't know why, but she had a defect in her diaphragm, and it would clamp off the celiac artery and not allow the blood supply to her digestive organs. So it was like all all those vessels were having a little heart attack every time she ate, and it felt terrible. And it also impinged all the nerves around that artery. It was excruciatingly painful. It's said to be excruciating. She never said so. Michael was just telling me, she said, no, it doesn't really hurt. She would say, it's just uncomfortable. And then she would say, it's just so uncomfortable and it leaves me breathless as if I can't go on. And that was every single day. But I want to tell you some things about my mother that you may not know. I want to tell you some things that were really pretty exceptional about her. I want, in telling you about my sweet mom, it's really hard to capture even a fraction of who she was or what her life taught me or how I'll miss her. Maybe I can squeeze out some of how I'll remember her. But I want to tell you that some of her work friends called her P. Diddy. Kind of a joke about her name. If you don't know, that's a rap star, P. Diddy, and they would tease her and call her P. Diddy. And so I was imagining that it might be easier for me to create a Twitter handle than it would be to create a eulogy. And I think I would give her Twitter handle P. Diddy Deegan. Too many superpowers to list, but I'll try. Superpower number 1, the golden rule and kindness. I read her a poem once by Mary Oliver. It's that poem that ends with a question. We asked each other the question. She didn't answer in words. She gave her answer in deeds. The poem ends with the question, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And in telling you about her answer, I just want to remind you how it's not really that easy being human. Perhaps you've experienced it yourself. A whole manner of emotions pulling you one way and another all the time, and then all of that bumping into the emotional experiences of others. It's sometimes nearly impossible, right? But I'm going to tell you something that I watched her do. My mother did something, I think it's extraordinary, even as a superpower. She didn't tell me she did this thing, but I watched her do it. I think we all did. She seemed to have decided to live her life according to a value that was most important to her, most dear. She really thought it was so important to be kind and to treat others as she would like to be treated. How many times you hear her say that, right? She was simply determined to live it out, regardless of the pull and push of emotions. And she did it, and I saw her get better and better at it. And she succeeded in embodying this in more and more ways, and even in the suffering, even in the end, while she was suffering, and she did suffer, she was sweeter and sweeter. She had so much to complain about, but she wasted no time on that. She was focused on being kind, considerate, generous, inclusive, and appreciative. And it was something to see. Superpower number 2, glow. When I think of my mother, I think of a glow, because she had a glow about her that's kind of hard to describe. She made everything beautiful. She enjoyed life. She brought enjoyment. She loved her life, and you could feel it when you were with her. You could experience it. Here are just some words, right? Fun, festive, involved, present, laughing, loving, optimistic, dancing, music, celebrating, connecting, evolving, amazing. A friend of mine who read her obituary said, I would have liked your mom. Yeah, she would have. Superpower number 3, forethought. My mother was born, my sister was born on my mother's 24th birthday. And I was born 1 year and 8 days later. And since she shared a birthday with my sister, an exact birthday, she gave me her middle name so that we would also share something personal. And so our birthdays and my name will always be a remembrance. I didn't ever really appreciate the name that much, but I really treasure having it now. And I think, good call, Mama. Excellent planning, right? Superpower number 4, accidental researcher. As a family, we accidentally conducted a multi-generational research study of the genetics of creativity, and we have proven that it definitively skips a generation. Her grandmother was a singer and a musician, and her parents, nothing. My mother and her little brother were oozing and dripping with creative talents, and they used them all the time. My sister and I, not a drop. But our kids, her grandchildren, they're brimming with talent, and we do and will continue to see Grammy in her legacy, and her legacy in all their many creative endeavors. And what an enjoyable superpower. And superpower number 5, her sense of humor, which of course is legendary. You all know about that, right? Nobody had a better sense of humor. Possibly nobody ever had a better sense of humor than my mother. Not even Mrs. Taniola's mother, right? The world has definitely lost a spectacular audience in losing her, because she was ready to laugh at every joke, any joke. And she turned almost everything into a moment of humor. Her sense of humor will definitely be missed, and we'll try to conjure it, because the world is definitely a better place with a lot of laughter. And I'll say this, for anyone who struggles with the ability to be present, to live in the present moment, it seems to me that you can't have that kind of a sense of humor unless you're in the present moment. If being in the present moment is the purpose of meditation, humor was her meditation, and she had her own brand of Zen. She was the Zen master of humor. She never lost her sense of humor, and I can't tell you how many times in the middle of something painful and medical and whatever, she would just crack wise, and it would so take me off guard. The last time she let me give her a shower was about a week ago. She was getting cold, so I brought a lot of towels into the bathroom, and I lit a candle so we would have a spa experience. And so we're in there having our spa experience. She had to take her hearing aids out, of course, because she's in the shower. And all of a sudden the smoke alarm goes off, and my sister comes screaming in. I thought my sister burnt toast, you know. And she comes screaming and saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I look over and I realize I've lit the towels on fire in the candle, right? So I put the towels in the sink and turned it off. My mother calmly says, "What's going on?" And I said, you know, I burnt up the towels and the candles. Sorry. I'll get you some more. And she didn't say any more about it. We finished the shower, we did the hair, we got dressed, the lotion, the da-da-da-da. And she says, "Take me into my bedroom. I want to go in my closet." Okay, so I wheel her in there. I did wheel her. And she said, "Open the door," and she looks in her closet. I said, "Do you want something in there?" And she said, "Nah." And I said, "Okay, do you want me to close the door?" And she waits a minute with like this perfect timing and so dry. She turns to me and she goes, "Why don't you just burn it all down?" Super proud. And I said to her, "You know, everybody thinks you're a nice little old lady." Superpower number 6, to teach and transmit life lessons and use her own passing for this purpose. Another friend called me and asked me, "How am I doing?" And I said, "You know what? I'm learning a lot since she died. I'm learning lessons that she taught us in her passing. Whether she meant to or not, I don't know. You know, she just kept changing and growing and surprising. And one thing along those lines is that she was always very private about personal matters. And she didn't complain easily, which made getting her situation diagnosed just that much more difficult. But she taught us something, I think, about the intimacy of allowing oneself to need. How it opens the heart, it creates a deeper and richer connection. She taught us about the importance of affirming life. She was tenacious, and she tried every day. She never gave up. She tried every day. I informed her once that if she wanted to, she could stop taking the feed and she wouldn't live very long. She blew right past that. She was tenacious. Maybe most importantly and most acutely, she demonstrated the importance of accepting and caring for each other. That our differences and our transgressions and annoying traits really matter so little. And what does matter is our ability to accept and care for one another and not to give up on that. We're a mosaic family, we're a cobbled quilt of blood relatives and non-blood relatives, and our connection will likely be more enduring than many others you know, because we will look past our differences, as Grammy taught us. We'll look past our difficulties and we're gonna ride it out together. So Mard, you are stuck with us. This is her legacy and I hope you remember it. I think of her constantly. Her opinion, her touch, just added to every aspect of my life and maybe to the lives of so many. The luxury of having her whenever I wanted her, whenever I needed her, I'm really gonna miss that. The luxury to take her for granted, to call her whenever I want. I loved that. And now I can't, not in the same way. And the loss is critical and more acute and terrible, and I just don't like it at all. I got new glasses and I have no idea what her opinion is. And I hate it. But I'll remember her by the treasures of memories and the small intimacies, the sentiment of the items she saved in her drawers, her handwriting, things she stuck in her cookbooks, stories she told me about her family, her crazy way of sewing and darning, how she went swimming in the Pacific Ocean like a mermaid every day after school, the faces she made, her creativity, her laughter, how she loved the kids entirely, how she made everything magical, the strange familiarity of the things that she kept in her kitchen cabinets, but I'm never gonna know how she kept them so clean and orderly. That's a mystery she took with her. The end was not a surprise. She was hugging me longer, more and more tenderly, as though to savor and to give me something to savor. But the end was a total surprise at the same time. She literally got up, walked across the room, moments before she was gone. Death simply came for her, and I am grateful for the peace of that. It reminds me of another Mary Oliver poem, or at least part of it, which goes like this. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it. And when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. She would want me to acknowledge several people. I want to acknowledge and give a shout out to Mrs. Cynthia Doherty. You're going to have to deliver it for me, Sean. Her most recent friend, who she befriended in the last of her days and who graciously stepped into that intimate space and offered my mom another friend, a new beginning, another opportunity, which is the essence of life, really. I can't say I know of another story where there's a new friendship like that at the end of life, and so I have a lot of gratitude to Mrs. Doherty. I want to give a shout out to all the grandkids. My kids, my nephew who visited her, called her, made it their business to understand her very rare, hard to understand condition, and they understood it so well that on the many doctor's appointments that they had to accompany her to, they could explain it, and they did it expertly. They were true warriors for her health and her welfare. I want to acknowledge and thank my sister Kelly. She was relentless helping to care for my mom, and my mother counted on her. And we are grateful that you were there. Kelly, I want to say thank you for giving Mom safe passage. And of course, last and never least, her knight in shining armor, my stepfather, who we all love, Marty, who did everything for her every day with love and was happy to do it and would have taken care of her to his own last day. She was so grateful to you, Marty, and so grateful for his presence and his caring, and she said this over and over. Marty, I want to say that we are all grateful to you. Thank you for loving our mom and giving her a wonderful life. Love you, Mom.
She gave me a wonderful life.
And I always will. Did you want to say something, Mart?
No, she was just the greatest, absolutely the greatest. She was just a shining light to everyone, everyone. Oh, she's gonna be missed. I'm gonna miss her so much. She was beautiful. Look at that smile. God, can you ever forget that smile? I'll take that smile to my grave. Oh, she was beautiful. She was beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, that's all.
I have to put the music back on.